Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to tackle something pretty much everyone runs into, but not many really masters. Those really awkward conversations at work. You know, the ones I'm talking about. They make your stomach clench, and your first thought is usually just avoid, avoid, avoid.
Absolutely. Run the other way.
But not today.
Yeah.
We sifted through some really fantastic material, and honestly, what we found isn't just practical advice. It feels genuinely like it could transform how you handle these things.
Yeah, turning that potential conflict into maybe an opportunity.
Exactly, an opportunity for clarity.
It's true. And it doesn't matter if you're a seasoned manager or, just starting out in your career. These conversations feel uncomfortable for basically everyone.
Right.
What's so good about the research we looked at is that it offers a really clear, actionable path. It helps you handle them with a bit more poise, maybe some professionalism.
So you see them less as these huge, scary obstacles.
Yeah, exactly. More like a skill you can actually learn and get better at.
Yeah. Okay, so let's kick things off with, the basic question. And I want you, listening, to think about your own experiences here. Why are these talks so stressful?
Yeah, what makes them feel so hard?
What is it about them?
Well, the material suggests a few key reasons. Honestly, for a lot of us, we just never really learned how to do this stuff effectively.
Nobody gave us a handbook.
No handbook. And here's something that really jumped out from a Harvard Business Review survey. Get this. 69% of managers, 69%, they admit they're uncomfortable communicating with employees.
Wow.
Especially, when it's about giving difficult or, negative feedback.
That's nearly 7 out of 10 managers feeling that way. That's huge.
It is huge.
It's almost comforting in a strange way. Okay, it's not just me.
Totally. You are definitely not alone in feeling that discomfort. And, for lots of people, maybe English isn't their first language. There's often this whole extra layer of worry.
Yeah, I can see that.
Common things people worry about are like, what if I pick the wrong word? Or am I going to sound too harsh or maybe too weak? That sort of language uncertainty can really dial up the stress.
So it sounds like feeling uncomfortable is pretty much the universal starting point here.
Seems like it.
But what if you didn't actually need perfect English or even natural-born confidence to handle these moments well?
Right.
The sources we looked at suggest it's more about having a few smart, really actionable tools. So, okay, let's dig into what those tools actually are.
Yeah, and what's fascinating is how straightforward the core idea can be. Even though the conversations themselves feel super complex, our material basically lays out this simple but really powerful 3-step framework: pause, plan, and practice.
Pause, plan, practice.
Yep. That's pretty much the backbone for navigating any tough conversation effectively.
Okay, so if these conversations are like a minefield, how do we get through this 3-step approach? It sounds like it starts before you even say anything.
Exactly. Step 1, pause. Yeah, take a breath before you jump in. The idea is to stay calm. Because reacting emotionally, well, we all know how that usually goes.
Makes things worse pretty much every time.
Right. The research even gives phrases you can use, like, let me think for a moment before I respond.
Oh, that's useful.
Or even, can we maybe take a few minutes and come back to this? Buys you some time.
You're creating space.
You are.
Yeah.
And that pause, it's more than just, counting to 10. Some research shows that even a short pause, maybe 10 seconds, can actually shift your brain activity.
Really? How?
It moves you from that reactive fight or flight part, the amygdala, to the more rational part, the prefrontal cortex.
Ah, the thinking part.
The thinking part. So that little pause gives you back control over your emotions and, importantly, your words.
Okay, so it's strategic. Not just about willpower, but actually letting your brain catch up. Okay, step 1, pause.
Then what?
Step 2.
Plan.
Right. Think before you speak.
Basically, yes. Think about what you really want to communicate. And the absolute key here, the material really stresses this, is focus on facts, not feelings or judgments.
Facts over feelings. Okay.
And this is where that crucial difference comes in. Use I statements instead of you accusations.
Ah, yes. The classic advice.
It's classic for a reason. Think about the difference. Instead of blurting out, you're always late, which just makes people defensive.
Instantly defensive.
Right. The material suggests trying something like, I've noticed the report hasn't been submitted on time the last couple of instances. Can we talk about what's happening? See the shift.
Yeah, it's huge. One is an attack, the other is an observation and an invitation.
Exactly. The I statement changes it from blame to, like you said, observation and a desire to understand. It's about your experience, your observation. Much harder to argue with that.
And less likely to make the other person shut down.
Precisely. It opens the door for collaboration, not just more conflict.
Okay, pause, plan, using I statements. Makes sense. And then step 3.
Step 3, practice.
Practice. Like rehearse the conversation.
Yeah, especially if you're feeling nervous, the sources actually recommend saying your key sentences out loud.
Really? Out loud?
Yep. Or practice with a friend, maybe even in front of a mirror. I know it sounds a
little silly.
A little silly, maybe, but it genuinely helps you feel more prepared. And when you actually have the conversation, you'll sound more natural, more confident.
Because you've already worked through the awkwardness of saying it.
Exactly. You've gotten the words out once or twice. So doing these steps, pause, plan, practice, it really does build that confidence muscle.
Right.
And that usually leads to much more productive outcomes. If you think about the big picture, this framework gives you a kind of structure, almost a calm path, through what often feels like total chaos.
Okay, I like that. A structured approach to chaos. Now, it's one thing to talk about pause, plan, practice in, theory. But what does it look like when things get heated or just plain awkward?
Yeah.
The material actually gave a great example, Lisa's story.
Oh, yes, Lisa's story. That's a perfect illustration.
Tell us about Lisa. She had this coworker.
Yeah, a coworker who would just constantly interrupt her in meetings. Nonstop.
Oh, that's so frustrating.
It really was. And it made her feel, invisible, like her ideas didn't count.
Okay, so how did she handle it using this framework?
Well, this is where it gets interesting. She didn't blow up or get passive-aggressive during the meeting. Instead, she consciously paused. She took time later to kind of collect herself, process how she was feeling.
Okay, so pause first.
Then she planned. She thought carefully about what she wanted to say, focusing on her experience, and she chose an I statement.
Smart.
So after the meeting, she went up to her colleague calmly and said something like, "Hey, I'd like to share something if now's okay."
Nice opening.
Yeah. And then, when I'm interrupted while I'm trying to contribute, I feel like my ideas don't really matter. I'd really appreciate it if I could have a chance to finish my thoughts in meetings.
Wow. That's incredibly direct, but also really respectful. It's all about her feeling, not attacking him.
Exactly. No blame, just explaining the impact on her.
And what happened? How did the coworker react?
Well, according to the source, the coworker was actually a bit taken aback, maybe hadn't realized the impact, and apologized.
Seriously? An apology?
Yep. And apparently things genuinely got better in subsequent meetings.
That's fantastic. It really shows that respectful directness, using that planning, it can actually solve the problem, not just escalate it.
Absolutely. It's a great example of the framework in action.
Okay, so building on Lisa's success and this whole framework, the research also pulled out 5 specific phrases, kind of like tools you can put in your pocket right away.
Yeah, ready-to-use phrases.
They're designed to help you sound respectful, sound confident, even when you disagree. They can really smooth things over.
Let's hear them.
Okay, here they are. First, I understand your point, but I see it differently.
Okay. Acknowledges, but states difference.
Good. Second, can we talk about something that's been on my mind?
Gentle entry point. Respectful of their time, too.
Third, I'd like to give you some feedback. Is this a good time?
Again, asking permission. Very important for feedback.
Fourth, let's focus on solving this together.
Collaborative. Shifts from problem to solution. Love that one.
And finally, fifth, I respect your opinion. Here's mine.
Similar to the first one, showing respect up front.
Yeah, these seem really useful.
They really are. Their power is that they let you be clear and kind without needing the other person to agree with you right away.
Right. It's not about forcing agreement.
No. Take that first one. I understand your point, but I see it differently. It validates them first, then states your view. That lowers defenses immediately.
Instead of just jumping in with, you're wrong.
Exactly. Or, can we talk about something that's been on my mind? It's polite. It's an invitation, not a demand. It really brings up, an important question about how just choosing our words carefully can genuinely transform these interactions.
Turning something potentially explosive into something constructive.
Potentially, yes.
Constructive.
Okay, so we have the framework, we have these phrases, but it feels like there's more to it than just the words themselves, right? The sources talked about broader strategies, too.
Oh, absolutely. There are some really valuable expert-backed tips that kind of underpin all of this.
Like what?
Well, first, there's this concept of psychological safety. It comes up a lot, notably in the book Crucial Conversations.
Psychological safety. What does that mean in practice?
It's basically about creating an environment, a feeling in the conversation where both people feel safe enough to speak openly without fear of being shot down or humiliated or facing some kind of backlash later.
So building trust and respect, even if the topic is tough.
Exactly. It's the foundation that allows difficult truth to be shared productively. Super important.
Okay, psychological safety. What else?
Second, don't underestimate your body language.
Okay.
We found references to Amy Cuddy's work on this.
Oh, the power posing person. That's the one. Her insight suggests simple things like sitting or standing up straight, taking deeper breaths. Even just a gentle, natural smile can actually make your body and your brain feel more confident.
Huh. So your posture influences your mindset.
And how you're perceived, yeah. Your physical state can really impact your mental state during these stressful moments. Projecting confidence, even if you have to fake it a bit at first.
Wait till you make it with posture. Okay, anything else?
Yes, one final crucial piece. Follow up.
Follow up after the difficult conversation is over.
Yes. Don't just have the talk and then pretend it never happened. Whether it's just a quick email summarizing what you agreed on or a brief check-in a day or two later.
Why is that so important?
It's a simple act, but it signals maturity, professionalism.
Wow.
It shows you're serious about resolving the issue, ensures everyone's clear on any next steps, and it just reinforces the conversation. Shows you value the relationship and the outcome.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Don't just drop it. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. If you, our listener, are taking notes, what are the absolute key takeaways from our deep dive today?
Let's boil it down.
First, that critical step. Pause. Before you react, give your brain that moment.
Crucial.
Second, plan what you're going to say. Focus on facts. Use those I statements.
Facts over feelings, yes.
Third, practice. Say the key things out loud beforehand. It helps, really.
Builds that confidence.
Fourth, use those respectful, clear phrases we talked about. Show confidence even in disagreement.
Your pocket tools.
And finally, fifth, always follow up. Close the loop professionally.
Absolutely. And underpinning all of this, remember the fundamental goal.
Which is?
It's not about winning. It's not an argument you have to win. The real goal is to understand the other person and to be understood yourself.
Understand and be understood.
Yeah. So what does all this really mean? It's about building bridges, right? Not burning them down, even when the conversation feels really tough.
Building bridges. I like that. Okay, so for everyone listening, here's a little challenge and an immediate action step.
Go on.
Just pick one phrase from today. Maybe, I see it differently, or let's focus on solving this. And just commit to trying it out this week.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a huge confrontation.
No. Maybe in a small chat or an email, even a team message. Just start small, build that conversational muscle.
Nice, actionable step.
And maybe leave you with one final thought to chew on.
Ooh, a provocative thought. Let's hear it.
What if? What if embracing the discomfort of these difficult conversations wasn't something to avoid, but actually a pathway?
A pathway to what?
A pathway to deeper trust, maybe more authentic connections, not just at work, but like in your whole life. How could leaning into that difficulty actually strengthen relationships?
That is something to think about. Turning avoidance into opportunity. Interesting.